welcome to the Newsmakers interview series. Today, we're talking with Thaddeus Liversedge, an HVAC contractor in Arizona. He is a first-time millennial HVAC owner and started his business during the year of the COVID pandemic, so I'm sure he has an interesting story. Thanks for joining us today, Thaddeus.
No problem. It's good to be here.
First off, I'm going to start off with your business name I found was interesting. How did you come up with Phoenix Air Department? Haven't really heard a name like that.
Right. So, Phoenix Air Department, when we were, I do have a partner in the business, but I handle most of the marketing and putting everything together. We can dive all into that here in a second. But when I was thinking of starting an HVAC company, and it's always, even though I was with other companies for many years, previous to starting a company, I was always in the back of my head thinking of what would my company name be, or how would I want it to look on the trucks, and the customers perceive it, and all of it, right, into the ins and the outs of it. Um, and I've always been a supporter of, law enforcement, military, patriotic, you could say. And when I was putting together a name for the company, I wanted something that was going to be not only say that, hey, we're locals, we're locally owned, but also that we're official, and kind of can say those types of stuff without even just by looking at our logo. And we're getting that feedback from our logo. Just people don't even know we're an air conditioning company, but they can already tell that, hey, this thing looks official. What is this? With having department, right? And some of those words that are official and more operational stood out to me. So Phoenix Air Department is kind of like your police department or your fire department. Next in line, you have your HVAC guys coming in here, and you have your air department. So it came together and worked on some logos, and I liked the way it looked. We got a lot of good feedback on it, and so that was it. That
All
was the
right.
name of the company.
All right, cool. Very nice. What made you start an HVC company? Did you start as a tech, or you went to a trade school, or kind of talk me how you got
Right.
involved in all this?
So I'm third generation in the HVAC trade. My grandfather took over an air conditioning company in 1974. Obviously, this was before I was born, but I got some history from my dad. So my dad started in 1978, and he graduated 1985 from RSI. So I never went to RSI, even though I've been there a lot, talking with the students, and I've been involved in a lot of the industry stuff. But never went to RSI, but I am third generation in the trade. So you could say even before I started high school, I was already in our metal shop, my family-owned business, learning how to, the basic basics. I mean, I was sweeping the floor and making S-locks and drives, just like my father was when he was, 13, 14 years old. And so I learned a lot, and I kind of followed those footsteps. And I started off in the metal shop, um, working there on my summers through high school. I was in the metal shop doing all that kind of stuff. And then eventually I started helping, being a helper in the field. I was a helper with my dad quite often. I'm sure you've heard that story before, where people are going with their family members to help out. And then eventually I started on install crews. And then I was working on install crews for a while, worked my way up until while I was running the jobs, kind of got ahead of that. So I was doing install for like a solid 8 years, you could say, back and forth. And that was commercial and residential install jobs. And then I went from install over to the technician side of things. And I was a technician for, I want to say, maybe like 5 years, uh, give or take, and was doing the whole technician thing. And then I went from technician to a selling technician. You could say that would be the next step, where you're selling equipment.
Hmm.
And I was good at that because I had started in the install side, so I knew everything that needed to transfer over to putting together quotes and everything that needed to be done to quote a job correctly. Um, so did the whole technician sales type uh, for equipment. And then I went from there to managing. I was working for a company managing a team of 30 guys, of all different levels. Some of them had been doing it, longer than I have, but hey, I still had really good background experience to be able to take over and manage a team. So I was managing a team of 30 technicians for one of the largest companies in the Southwest, and I was a manager there for a couple years and did very, very well. Pretty much broke every record they have. Well, we can get into that and how that went along. But basically, that at the end of that turned into open a door to say, hey, it's time to start my own company. And I had gained experience all along the way in order to put me in that position. If I didn't have all that experience, there's no way I'd be doing or be where I'm at today, running our own company.
Right, yeah, obviously, like you said, that's a story we hear a lot, but a lot of times it's taking over the family business rather than going off on your own. So just talk about the thought process there.
Yeah, definitely. So the family business, and that gets brought up a lot too, because the family business in 2003 was sold off or resolved and sold off to another party, and that was before I was even in the seat to even really take over a company, or I was still in the stages of just working for HVAC companies. Um, so that business was sold off. So me taking over, my dreams of maybe taking over a business was kind of out the window. And I just said, you know what? It is what it is. Things are meant to be. And maybe one day I'll have my own company to be able to start that process over and really build something of a legacy. Because that company was together for 30 years. They did a lot of building of that company. But regardless, so I decided, hey, I want to start my own company. Um, and it's one of those things where me and a partner came together to start up a company, and I mean, we're all in. So he also has similar experience to myself.
How long does that take from you deciding I want to start a company to the time you're going out on that first call? What's
Right.
obviously a lot to get done in that time. How long does that take?
Well, I would say it really depends on the situation, right? I was in a position where I was no longer working for the big company, and it was either go work for another company or start up my own company at that time. So I decided to go ahead and start up the company and make that happen. And when you're all in and you got, a mortgage and a family to take care of, hey, you got to make it happen, right? So
Right.
I decided, hey, it's time to make it happen. I'm not gonna mess around and just be all in on it to get the company up and running.
And what does that company look like on day one? Is just you and your partner? Are you going out there running service calls? Have you hired some people?
Yes,
How
right.
how was that?
So day one, basically me and my partner are sitting together to start to put processes together and a plan on how we want it to look for the startup for the first year, and what are kind of like a 5-year plan, what we're looking to do with it. Um, and from day one, it would be me and him kind of tackling and running anything that's coming in for that first couple months. So yes, we were running calls and handling any installs or anything like that coming in, but we knew that if we want a company to grow, we had to get back to that management side and work on the business, not in the business, in order to multiply and build a business that we want to see grow.
So when did you officially launch? This year, right?
Yeah, so I would say basically around February of 2020.
S- Crazy timing, right? Because the next month or so things
Yeah,
start getting rocked a little bit. So how did how did COVID change your? Obviously, you had a business plan. Did it change your plans at all, or not really? I know Phoenix was a little bit later to get hit, right?
right. And I mean, the whole country is affected, right? When you look at supply chains, and we can get into that because we did deal with that, especially starting up a business and you're relying on your distributors to have equipment in stock. Um, and you have sold jobs, but no equipment, which has never really happened before, right? And that's not a good look for a company first starting out and people wondering, why can't you get the equipment? What's going on? So there were a lot of hurdles that we had to jump over, especially with COVID. I mean, it affected pretty much every business out there. Um, Being the fact that we are now titled, I guess, an essential business, that did help out a lot as far as regardless of whether what's going on, people still need heating or cooling. You can't go without it. So that did help us out a lot, being in a business that is necessary. But again, we still had a lot of hurdles with distributors and making sure we had products that we could move forward and have parts that we need to install to be able to run our business. A lot of stuff that were stuff that was getting in the way.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that because obviously you're the smaller contractor, right? You're newer. You don't have as many relationship with the distributors, so maybe you're at the end of the list. But was it more
Definitely.
air conditioners and unitary, or was it more parts? What was the biggest issue in regards to inventory?
So I would say the biggest issue was equipment, and you make a good point there. Is being a smaller startup company, um, the larger companies are favored, right? They're the ones that are doing multi-million dollar purchases, right, over the year. So we did see a lot of that, and I get it. It's they're making larger orders, but it's it can really, I guess the word is, it can piss you off when there's equipment sitting in a warehouse and it has their name on it and it's still sitting there because they're the big dogs in town, and you're telling your customer that you can't get anything right now because it's going to them, even though the distributors would say that they weren't doing that. We
Right.
we talked to other people. We know what's going on, but hey, we made it through those times. We worked with other distributors that were able to say, "Hey, we're willing to work with anybody right now," and that kind of opened the door to not only be working with one, but be working with multiple companies to be able to make that happen. So that opened some good doors at the time.
Okay, that's good. And then, did you see indoor air quality products kind of jump on you there? People were, it's back in
Definitely.
March and April. People were wiping down our groceries, right? We didn't quite know what this COVID was. So, talk
Right.
a little about indoor air quality and if that helped the business at all.
Definitely. So indoor air quality has always been a part of our operation, but you can definitely say there was a huge uptick in it. Now that, especially when we're seeing all this stuff on the news and everything going on with COVID, that's what me and my partner were looking at each other, was like, this technology's been here. It's right here. Why are people not talking about it? Why are people not, putting them in the restaurants and the gyms, and it's still not widely talked about. It's starting to gain more popularity, but again, uh, not as much as you would think, right, for what the technology does.
Right.
But when we're able to talk with our customers one on one, educate them on what the products do, we've seen a huge success rate with it, and it's been great to be able to help people not only when they are having issues with heating or cooling, but to then give them that extra um, that I would say that extra security of knowing that, hey, if there is something funky going on, at least I have this extra layer of protection where I have something that's able to kill off any kind of viruses or any kind of you know odors or sicknesses or anything like that when you're looking at products like the air scrubber or some of the other ones.
Well, how did you kind of walk that fine line? Because obviously you don't want to overpromise, and at that point, really didn't know exactly what was stopping COVID and what wasn't. And you also don't want to look like you're cashing in on a
Right.
national tragedy. But you have products that can help people. So how would you navigate that?
Yeah, so we have some good products that we have from some of those manufacturers. One of them is like a book. It's like a physical book that you open up and it has videos that they can watch, and it really can explain to the customer and show them what the product is doing. Because I can explain it to them in layman's terms, but when they hear it and it's official and it's coming from a third party um, that really backs it up and shows the science of it, then they know, hey, this guy's not just blowing smoke. It actually shows that they've done the studies already that it kills X, Y, and Z, and those are major names, right? When you look at the information that's provided. Uh, yeah, this was new, but it goes in line with a lot of the other stuff. So hey, if it's doing X, Y, and Z, then it's probably going to do this. We would just be straight up with them. Hey, the studies haven't been done yet. It's so new, but I have it in my house specifically because of that reason. So, if you have the opportunity to do it, I would do it, and most people would, especially when people are wearing masks and gloves, wiping things down. Why don't you use a product that's proven to keep surfaces clean, to keep anything in your home clean and your air clean, to purify it. Um, so that stuff's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Now, it might seem counterintuitive, right? But kind of looking back, was it a good time to launch your company? I know with there's inventory issues. Some people didn't want you, coming into your homes. But when you look at the summer, it really was a really good year for HVC based on shipments and stuff. In hindsight, it was like, man, this was a
Right.
really good time to get going on this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where um, it may be tough to go through it, but that only just builds character for us. It shows us that if it happens again or we have anything that comes at us, we're going to be able to deal with it, whether it's up or down. We'll be able to handle it and manage those problems. It's kind of like, hey, you want to start up your company? Here's a fly ball for you. Deal with it, because that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with in business. When I was with the other companies, I would help with a lot of issues and processes that were uh, that would come up, and um, we would do a lot of uh, putting together solutions for those companies. So I looked at it as just another bump in the road to hey, we're going to get through it, and it's just going to make us stronger for that. Because a lot of companies are not able to make it through the COVID pandemic. So again, we just got to make it happen. We're all in. So we didn't really even think of a point of failure.
Were you eligible, or did you need the PPP loan, or was that not anything on your radar?
I think with us being so new, a lot of that really wasn't on our radar. And us also being so new coming into it, basically having to run the business lean. A lot of people were switching from their current operations and leaning everything out, with having people work from home and changing everything up. For us, it was really in the process of setting all that up. So we just kind of followed the lines of, all right, well, we're going to run everything lean. We're going to do what everybody else is switching to. We're just going to put that in place now. Um, and so I looked at it as an advantage. You have to look at every problem that is a chance to provide a solution and move through it and set up your operations to survive that kind of stuff.
Right. Because did you guys have an office at that point? Were you? I know a lot of times when they start your business, you're working out of the house. Where were you guys at when you were launching?
Yeah, so when we were at the beginning stages of that, we weren't really trying to play business and set up an office at that point. We wanted to really invest in getting trucks on the road, stocking our trucks, putting our uniforms together, setting all of our operations up. So we weren't really looking for an office space right away. And really, with everything going on, we weren't really going to be able to do that anyways. So it was like, hey, let's run lean from now and get everything up and running, and we can worry about that stuff later down the road. So yeah, like you said, we're running extremely lean. Where our business is at people's homes, right? So we didn't really need an office space at that time. We were using our garage space to make
Right.
it
And
happen.
end up working well because when they eventually need the office, I'm guessing it's gonna be a lot cheaper than it would have been
Yeah,
in January, right?
exactly.
Now, how
Exactly.
do you? I want to switch the gears a little bit, if you don't mind, to marketing. How do you
Uh-huh.
market just kind of getting out of the gate here? You don't have any name recognition, so where do you? And you don't have a ton of resources. Where do you invest those resources just to let people know, hey, we're around and we're a good company?
Right. So we do a lot of, I would say, branding. We do social media. We do a lot of internet stuff. I would say we are I would describe us as a younger, modern company where we know how to navigate all of that stuff. There's still a lot of big companies out there that struggle with it. Um, but us being younger and more modern and tech savvy, we're able to take advantage of all of that. And we're jumping all over it. I mean, from day one, we had our website ready to roll. We had social media pages up. We're working with Google to get all that stuff going, Thumbtack, BBB, everything. We're setting it all up. We work with Yelp. So we've had no issue getting all that stuff up and running, and that's been a real driver for us because the internet changes everything. It gives little guys like us a chance to compete with the big people and come in and show that we can do just as good a job, if not better. And we are truly locally owned, so that's a big thing, especially now with everything going on. It's a big thing. People want to support their local economy. So when we can really represent that and deliver that, and our reviews can show that, and we're able to post on social media pretty much every single day and share what we're doing. It's a big deal. People want to see that, and when they can see that and see into your business and see how you're operating, it's only a plus, and that starts to grow. So we've done pretty good with it.
Okay, yeah. Do you see that as obviously you're a younger guy, you're technically a millennial, right? They say millennials are now the next big buying power. They're the ones now getting their houses and stuff. So you almost have
Right.
to think like them and know where to reach them, know how to market them, know how to talk. Is that a big advantage you think your company has?
Definitely. Believe it or not, we have landed some pretty big deals and pretty big jobs through social media and through text without even seeing anybody in person. Um, we've been able to we use Jobber as a software that we use for our company. So people get text messages from us, emails. Our our operation is ran just like any other big company out there that uses maybe Service Titan or something like that. I think Jobber is even better in my opinion. So we're able to, let's say somebody sends a text message to us or calls our number, and let's say we're on the other line, it's going to automatically text them saying, "Hey, we were busy. We can get you. You can text us your issue, what's going on." And we have people text us their name, information, email, address, and we're already putting that into our system and scheduling to have somebody out there same day. So when people have the ability to make things happen fast and quick through maybe like a text message, they love that. They don't want to have to stop the time to make a phone call, and maybe they're on hold and all kinds of different stuff. I know that making things easier is only going to make our business grow faster. So the fact that we have those systems in place has been a huge role in us growing.
And where does the company stand now? About a little less than a year in. How have you hired additional people? Have you exceeded expectations? It's kind of what you expected. Just kind of give us a state of the business report here.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we've hired a few guys. Right now, we have in the field. Right now, we have five team members, um, and so we've been buying vans and getting them wrapped, in which they look very sharp, um, and vans and trucks. So we have those on the road. And right now, we're looking at moving into the new year and putting two more vehicles on the road, preparing for summer. Um, and I would say things are moving great. They're moving in the right direction. We're happy with the growth. We're growing fast enough where we're able to still look everything and manage it the right way. We're not growing too fast where we don't want to kind of be turning business away. So I say we're in a good spot where we're in. And another point that a lot of people may have a problem with is finding good people, right? Finding the right people to come work for the company. Let's just say that I have other social media channels that have upwards of 20,000 industry technicians, companies, and whatnot across the country and in the state. I've never had a shortage of technicians. Us being a new company, we get emails almost daily of people asking if we're hiring, if they can come work for us. Um, it, I would say it's because we have a big social media presence. We share a lot of what we're doing, especially being a new company. And my other page on Instagram is at HVAC Techs. It's HVAC underscore Techs, and it's pretty big on the HVAC industry side of things, especially here in Phoenix. There's a lot of social media HVAC stuff going on, and even across the country. I know guys all across the country through social media, so it's pretty cool. Now that we started our company, it makes it even easier. So we have no shortage of finding technicians.
Okay, that's interesting because that's I'm sure you know it, right? That's the number one issue a lot of contractors I talk to have. So you're saying like this Instagram page and that kind of stuff. It's not necessarily promoting your business. It was more of a community for HVAC folks, and that's kind of what you're tapping into.
Exactly, exactly. So we do have our company page, but that's separate. And then we have the HVAC community page, and I've had that for going on a few years now, before I even started up the new company. So I was already doing that for a while, and we have like stickers and hats and stuff like that, and we share all kinds of different information that's sent in to us, or maybe that we come across. We make videos, post crazy stuff we come across in the field. Um, so it's a pretty cool deal to be able to meet all kinds of people across the country, and share that information with them. And it's pretty cool. Definitely
And that's got,
a new generation of technicians and HVAC stuff.
right, and that's not something that happens overnight, right? You've cultivated that, I'm guessing, for weeks, months, years.
It's been going on, I would say, probably about 4 years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And then what are your expectations for 2021?
2021, we're looking at it. We're excited. We're definitely looking at putting a few more trucks on the road, more vans, um, growing our fleet, bringing on more techs and some more installers, and continue to just watch that growth happen. Um, our commercial and our residential side of things are growing. Being a new startup company, some companies out there won't do new construction. Um, we happen to have a lot of experience in it, so we're working with builders as well, local builders, doing new homes. So we're doing new construction, service, commercial. We're pretty much doing all of it right now to really see where our company grows at the most. So we're kind of trying out a little bit of everything to see what works out best for us, and then focus more energy on those portions.
Where are your highest margins, and what area, or is it all kind of the same between new construction and replacement and that sort of thing?
So I would say maybe the higher margins are on the residential side when you're just doing change outs and stuff because it's a 1 day job, typically maybe 2 days, right? The new construction projects are a little bit more drawn out because you're working with all the other trades, and they could be a project that takes upwards of 30 days, sometimes even a couple months if it's a big commercial project. Uh, but again, the margins are still there, so we're still doing it, and it's good experience for us. We've come across a lot of new things that we haven't done in the past, and we're able to learn from it and take that to the next project. So we're still happy, and we're still making money on it, whether it be residential or on the new construction side. I know some companies just won't touch it, but again, if we learn to operate a lot leaner and see where the mistakes are made and correct those on the next job, then we can only improve that one project to the next.
Sure. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to. It's a really interesting story, and congratulations on the great strides you've made just in a few short months here.
Yeah, I mean we're definitely putting in the work. I was talking with a buddy of mine, and he was saying he started his company as well, and he was thinking that things might be kind of easy working for yourself, right? Because you're the boss. Well, it's pretty much, we all know it's the opposite of that,
Right.
because you are in charge of everything. So it's not a 9 to 5 anymore, right? It's every day you're working on the business, different parts of it. So it's exciting, a lot of work, but it's good to see our teams growing already. It's good to see our branding already getting bigger. It's especially, I think, the biggest and most important thing for us is we're able to help people in our local communities here in Phoenix. And it's nice to be a company that's truly locally owned, that's truly a family owned company. Some of these bigger companies that are owned by 10 different companies, and none of that stuff stays here in the United States. So I really pride ourselves on being an American owned company, and staying here in the local economy and helping everybody out where we can, and having competitive pricing as well.
Right. All right. Sounds good. Well, again, I really appreciate the time. I'll let you get back to working on the business.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.